Good morning and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone listening. My name is Mark Saxon and I'm here representing ACDC Metals today. And I thought we'd just take the opportunity. It's been a fairly busy time over the Christmas period in terms of the rare earth sector, and a great opportunity to talk about it a little and some of the changes that have happened in the Chinese market in particular. So just before Christmas, we saw an announcement from the Chinese government, which essentially changed some of the laws around the export of rare earth technologies. And this is a good opportunity to share some of that with you today. So as a first touch on what we're going to talk about today, ACDC Metals is an Australian-listed ASX-listed company that is exploring for mineral sands in Victoria. But I guess in addition to that exploration project that we're following up on, we also have a partnership with an Australian company called Medallion Resources. And Medallion is the owner of certain technologies in the rare earth space, and so in particular technologies to process the mineral monazite, which can come from mineral sand projects. So it makes it highly relevant, I guess, in terms of the conversations we're having about what's happening in China and what we can do for the Australian market in Victoria and South Australia. I guess as a first pass, when we talk about rare earths, we need to sort of put them in context and understand, I guess, where they fit into business and into industry. So all of us, I guess, are aware the fast pace that's developing in energy transition. So when we talk about energy transition, we're talking about clean mobility and clean ways to generate energy. So the clean energy economy is a metals-based economy, and so we're transitioning away from oil and gas and we're transitioning towards metals. And when we think about those metals, we can talk about rare earths and nickel and cobalt and copper. Rare earths is a very big part of that story, and rare earths in particular, their significance comes from very high strength rare earth magnets, which are comprised of neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium and terbium. And so control of the elements essentially gives control of the downstream markets that those magnets and those metals can go into. So a very key part is understanding the markets where these rare earths will deliver to. So sitting, I guess, as the other layer on top of the rare earth industry, most people are aware that the Chinese production very much dominates the rare earth industry. So at the moment, when you look at mining, it's about 60%. When you look at processing, it's about 90%. So Chinese investment in the rare earth market over the last 30 odd years has been, maybe 100-fold on top of what we've had in the Western world. And so Chinese technology has developed at a much faster pace than what we have in the Western world. And that's based on having good resources, but also, I guess, a bit of a longer term view on metals and mining and what was coming down in terms of future demand. And so the announcement in the last few days or just before Christmas that we saw essentially was a reinforcement of a trend that we've been seeing coming from China in terms of their control of the industry. And really, it's a signal. It's part of a progression that signals that China wishes to maintain their control of the rare earth industry. And really, what we're seeing here is a bit of tit for tat and bounce back between the US and America. We've been seeing a bit of a trade war in other metals, so gallium and germanium and graphite. The pushback from the US has been in microchips, and so we're seeing, I guess, a bit of a reset of the world order in terms of metal supply and technology supply. So the announcement a few days ago was an announcement that China were going to ban the export of technology that relates to the production of rare earth permanent magnets. So it's not a mining part; it's a technology part. It's the downstream part, and that's really signalling that that China wishes to retain all of that knowledge, all of the ability to value add, I guess, to rare earths within China. And so that's where, for us sitting in the ex-Chinese economy, we're really lacking, I guess, in that downstream value add component. So it's a very strong signal from China. So what we're seeing from China, I suppose, and we're coming out of COVID still, and we've got the impact, I guess, of these fractured supply chains. And China, because of its very strong hand in rare earths, with that sort of 90-10, I guess, imbalance in the way we see production, it's a very strong hand in the industry. And so it's something that I think we need to be mindful of, and the Western world is very mindful of that imbalance. Rare earth element, they're very important in emerging technologies. We can talk about EVs and we can talk about small motors, we can talk about wind turbines. In a US context, the conversation is always about defense industries, and so rare earth are a very small but a very important part of defense industries in the US as well, and so that's where, I guess, particularly from the US government, that's what catches the eye and catches the ear of the US government. So the inability for the Western world, I guess, to introduce technologies that are coming from China means we need to develop our own. And really, we've been on that pathway for quite a while. I guess there's been an acknowledgement that we can't just pick up a Chinese technology and bring it into a Western world, because the environmental impact may not be appropriate for what we're trying to do, say, in Australia or Canada or the US. We need to have better technologies in order to be able to mine, extract, process, and build magnets. So a company like ACDC, and there's a range of others around, a company like ACDC is seeking to use world's best technologies to have a very sort of clean, environmental and low impact way of producing rare earths that can contribute into an ex-Chinese or a Western supply chain if the market develops in that direction. So I'm certainly not one who panics about these things. I've been in the rare earth industry for a long time. I've seen lots of stories come and go. But yeah, I guess the signalling of the trend that's coming from China is something that we need to be very mindful of, and creates a great opportunity for Western investors. So we've just come out as a whole industry and as a whole, small mining market, a pretty tough 2023, and moving into 2024, I think there is a voice of optimism now that's returning to the market. We're seeing gold price kicking up, we're seeing copper price kicking up, and we're seeing a resurgence in demand and interest, I think, in rare earths. So we're not there yet. The prices of rare earths are modest. They're not at their high points. But we're certainly seeing demand is growing. Certainly companies like ours in ACDC Metals, where we're getting a lot of interest in potential customers and offtake for what can come in the next sort of 12 to 24 months. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the market. There has been a lot of new players. Most of those new players have drifted off and are now exploring for lithium or other things. ACDC Metals is very committed to its projects in Victoria, which are mineral sands which contain rare earth elements. Gives us a great runway for the next 2 years as we develop those projects. And so that's both on the mining side in Victoria as we move our projects towards development, and then also on the rare earth processing side, which is the sweet spot and the unique place for us when we look at the ability to add value to the mine products. And I think it's very important that Australia reaches further down the supply chain and retains the metals inside of Australia, so that we can actually maybe one day build magnets rather than just digging sand out of the ground. I think that's a great opportunity for us as we look forwards. So feeling very positive about the next 12 and 24 months. The shift from oil and gas to the metals economy is with us. It's growing fast, and we're very excited in ACDC Metals to be part of that trend.